how do you envision a world where everyone is happy? And then when we start interviewing people from different professions, walks of life, every single person wants the same thing. They just want to be happy. They just want to make sure that their kids, Creative Society goal is to draw world's attention to the global climate crisis and study its causes. And unfortunately, all the natural disasters that are happening right now are exponentially increasing, so they're not going down. And
what are some of the key scientific reports that you have produced to date?
We have a scientific team, and our scientific team is based on a lot of research together. So we have scientists, we have researchers, we have volunteers that put together a report from the data that climate is unfortunately the one thing that will unite us because it's unstoppable. And we need to make sure that
Welcome to Gold Media LLC. I'm Melissa Bell. Today joining me is Olga Kovtun. She is the nonprofit community outreach and volunteer of Creative Society. For me, the climate, our world and nature and everything. We have to live in this planet, so we have to care about it. So I think it's a very important topic. As we get going, can you start off by talking a little bit about how you got involved in Creative Society and a little bit about them?
Yeah, for sure. So I got involved because my friend invited me to do interviews of people because she was volunteering for Creative Society, and she said, hey, we are doing this project. We're going to go on the streets and interview people. And the one question we're going to ask them is, how do you envision a world where everyone is happy? And I said, well, I really don't want to do that. It's out of my comfort zone, not my topic. I don't care. But she's like, come on, you're my friend. Let's go. Let's do this. And then when we start interviewing people from different professions, walks of life, different age, statuses, groups, and when we realize, or I realized for myself, that every single person wants the same thing. They just want to be happy. They just want to make sure that their kids grow up in a society that values them. They just want to make sure that everyone is safe and everyone is protected, that everyone have true human rights that are not just written on a paper. They just want them to see out and about, right? That we have a freedom of speech, we have ability to move around and just feel safe and provided for. So once I realized that kind of inside of myself, it kind of made a switch of we all want the same thing. We all want to be happy. We all want to be living in that perfect world, but why are we not, right? So how come if we can interview people from 180 countries and put together a documentary and everyone is saying the same thing in their own way, why can't we live this way? And what is happening, right? So I started to learn more about personal responsibility, what it looks like, how does the world function. I just started to be more interested in the dynamics of our society, and this project really aligned with what I wanted to do, because Creative Society goal is to draw world's attention to the global climate crisis and study its causes and find solutions. And to do that, we also recognize that we need to put together a scientific center that brings the best of minds into one place so we can start solving the problems. And I think by now everyone recognizes that climate, natural disasters is a problem for everyone. And it doesn't matter whether you live in Michigan or Florida, or if you live in Singapore or Taiwan or Philippines just had an earthquakes. It does not matter. It's gonna find us. But can we get ahead of the game and solve it together by recognizing that this is the main thing we cannot control, but we can get ready and solve it with all the bright minds of the world.
And now that's a good thing to bring up too, because we were talking before this. This is not a political thing. This is not something, to draw from sides. This is something that as a human, we all have to care about. It's something that we need to kind of take our personal responsibility. You kind of brought that up. I know it's made up of all volunteers, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How do they work to get the word out and just kind of, gain that kind of exposure to what is really going on in the world and trying to get people to get on board to kind of help resolve this and solve the problems?
Yeah, so we volunteers, and we have 180 countries that participate. So volunteers around the globe, we get the word out by social media. Sometimes we host forums or events where it's like the last forum we hosted, it's been translated simultaneously in 100 languages, which is unheard of, and probably no one can afford but the volunteers that are selflessly given their time, because that information is life-saving. We also do host local events. For example, here in Michigan, we have a local event that is called Business Networking for Good. And we created this platform to share a little bit about what we do, but also showcase other nonprofits, so they get a chance to tell their stories and show that the good lives in this world. The good is us, the good is the actions we take. We see so many bad things happening in the news and in the media and everything, that we forget to focus on the good, and that together we can solve the problem. So just social media has been life changing for us, because we use TikTok, we use Instagram, we use YouTube, we use everything. And another part that I love about volunteering for Creative Society, we share with each other all our talent. So if someone is good at video production, or someone is good in social media, or someone is good in writing a PR piece, or someone is good in doing interviews, we always share the skills, and we learn from each other and use our best abilities to share this message of hope. And we need for general people just like us, right, just regular people, to understand that unfortunately all the natural disasters that are happening right now are exponentially increasing, so they're not going down. And unfortunately, everyone, before, we all under a fire or a mudslide or earthquake or hurricane, we need to figure out, how do we as society, a global society, figure out how we treat people? How do we put human life as a number one priority? And how do we make sure of that? We have a lot of problems we are dealing with, of course, in a society. We have a lot of human rights problems. We have a lot of problems where people cannot afford food, people cannot afford to buy something or travel or anything like that. And we need to start solving those problems, because climate is unfortunately the one thing that will unite us, because it's unstoppable. And we need to make sure that it is outside of politics. And we need to make sure it is outside of conspiracy theories. And we need to make sure that when we solve something, we solve it for the good of each and every person. And it cannot become another political gain. It cannot become another hot topic to discuss. Human life is the highest priority. It matters. And every single day, as we track all the natural disasters, we see people dying. 2,000 people a day or more, lives just taken away by natural disasters. And there's nothing that's being done about it, and we kind of like to brush it off of like, this is not important, but it is.
And that's true, and it's definitely increasing. And now I know you talked about some, data and reports. What are some of the key scientific reports that you have produced to date? Like, what are some of the really ones that we need to
Yeah.
highlight?
So creative societies and volunteers are not just volunteers that do social media and what's not. We have all kinds of volunteers, but we also have a scientific team, and our scientific team is based on our like sister organization, ALLATRA International Public Movement, and they do a lot of research together. So we have scientists, we have researchers, we have volunteers that put together reports from the data that's already available. So we don't make up our data, we just gather it from 180 countries and put it together into one report that anyone can download. It's open for public. They can understand and they can see what's really happening. And some of the reports we have right now is on the progression and consequences of the climate disasters. We also just released a report this year about nano and microplastic that is in our atmosphere. It's also in our bodies. So we kind of look at the problems we face as a global problems and actually a goal we can all unite under and start solving. And those reports are available on creativesociety.com website. Anyone can download them, read them. It is not an easy information to swallow. It is hard to, once you read it, to like unlearn it. You will see it everywhere, but we must come to this point where we recognize the troubles we are in and really putting this scientific center together with all the smart people that are too busy probably doing some kind of research on the next biggest weapon to kill off the many people. We don't need that. We really need their bright brains to come together and say, hey, this is physics, this is social element, this is economics. How do we change everything up so we can preserve human life and our planet? Another big issue that we have uncovered, that we have a magma plume under Russia, and it's the size of Siberia. I mean, it's in Siberia, and it's the size of Australia. So there's a huge plume that's rising in Siberia region of Russia and coming to the surface. And then we see that there is, because of that, there's earthquakes and there's all kinds of things happening. And that's another thing we need to focus on, because if that blows, we all go. So we kind of at this point of like, we all going to die, but we not, because we know this information and we spreading this information. And this is just regular people just going out, and we are just presenting this on any platform we get a chance to. It doesn't matter if it's a podcast. It doesn't matter if it's an interview. It doesn't matter if it's a presentation or summit or anything. We are just looking for those platforms to really showcase what's happening to our planet, so every person can make their personal decision of what they are trying to do, or how they're going to spread this information, or how they're going to consume this information. And we know everything starts with information, right? If we didn't have a recipe, we couldn't make a meal. So we have the recipe. Now it's time to make a meal.
And that's great to highlight. And now, on the website, do you give actionable like tips or information that how, we as a society, people can do their part to like slow this type of like climate change and the different things that are happening?
Yes, we have scientists that are looking at slowing things down. They're looking at how we can use physics, and it's different type of physics from what we know today. So there is definitely research. The biggest problem we are running into is that because there is no public request from general public about the issues, when we talk to politicians, when we go to Washington, D.C., when we sit at those big round tables, everyone understands that we are in trouble. Everyone understands that this is urgent issue, but they say, I can't do anything because my people that voted for me are not requesting me to solve this problem. So we need to have more. The first action steps for everyone is to study, to look at some of the documentary movies we have put together, and just understand the state we are in, and start sharing it with your neighbors, and start sharing it in the social medias. Just start sharing it until we run out of time, right? So we want to make sure that the population that lives on this planet understands that this is what we come into, and the time to solve everything is right now, and we can only do it together. We cannot have another war. We cannot afford to have another conflict. It's time to come together in this society everybody dreams of, the best society ever, and start solving true problems that we have and facing right now.
Right. Because like you're saying, I mean, we spend a lot of time, there's a war here, there's a conflict here. But in this regards, if we don't have the planet and we don't have the resources, we're all kind of we're not going to make, we're not going to be here. So that's really the most important thing. And people how can they get involved? By reaching out to their representatives? What are some ways that they can get involved?
Yes, definitely. So you can get involved by attending one of our events, right? It can be online event that we are hosting, and we usually host once a month. We host an online event where we explain what's happening, whether it is climate related or micro and nanoplastic related, which is, believe it or not, micro and nanoplastic is a huge part of climate change as well, because it's trapping, there's so much micro and nanoplastic in our oceans and waterways that it's trapping the heat that's coming from below, and it's when it's releasing the heat, it's actually all has micro and nanoplastic, and we breathing it in, and it's kind of like it's a whole process, and we look at it, and it's like it's mind blowing, and it's also just unbelievable of what we have come to as society since we start producing micro and plastic in 1950s, that now is turning into micro and nanoplastic because we are dumping everything in the oceans, and there is a huge island, they call, of garbage patch that's floating in our oceans, and it's all degrading into micro and nanoplastics, and we are just changing our own environment, and we are not helping with climate change by producing more plastic. Now, if we are to stop producing plastic or start recycling more, is that going to solve anything? Unfortunately, at this point, no, because there's just too much everywhere, and it's not, we can't. We got to figure out how we remove the micro and nanoplastics from our bodies, from our environment. We got to figure out what we're going to do with climate. Can we predict an earthquake? Can we do better job of moving people out of the tornado alley? Can we do things that are life-saving for people? That should be our goal. So everyone can learn more, watch our documentaries, just understand and decide for themselves, like, hey, listen, I want to live and I need to spread this information because I want my officials to act on it, or I want my workplace to change things, how we do things. It doesn't matter what it is, but at the end of the day, we have to all come together and really request for the scientific center to be built and for everyone to come together and start solving. And we can do it fast. It's just the matter of putting it all together. The solutions will come up. We'll be living in a different world and a different dream, but we just got to stop all the hate. We got to stop all the conflicts. We got to stop all of that and really focus on what matters, which is our planet, our common home.
And now for the documentaries, if people want to watch those, they're on the website. Where can they view?
Correct. Yes. So if you go on our website, you will see there is a tab that says videos, and you go into the videos. And those documentaries are easy to watch because they are on YouTube. So you can always, listen to them in your car, or you can watch them. They are short enough. I believe latest one was 1 hour maybe. But the information there is just mind blowing. So I watched it multiple times, and I still can't believe that this is what we're dealing with. But we are not talking about it like it's a big deal. We still, the biggest challenge for us is still getting over people thinking I'm too small of a person to make a difference. Where we're like, well, yeah, 8 billion people said that and nothing happened, but imagine 8 billion people said, I can make a difference, I can learn more, I can share this information, I can create public demand for the solutions, and then all of a sudden we do.
Right. It's more of that power in numbers. The more people kind of step up and say, hey, I'm going to do my part, it makes a dent in what we're facing. No, I was going to ask, do you have any upcoming local events or global events that we should know about?
Not that I can think of right now. Again, every month we host an event, so you can go to Eventbrite. We usually use that platform to host our events. You can go on our website. You can also email us and say, hey, what is the information? But we are all about transparency. So if you go on our website, you can find everything from the reports to the research to the documentaries to every week where we put together a news type of thing about what's happening to the world and how many natural disasters we are experiencing in a day. So we used to do that where we used to host almost like a news segment every month about natural disasters. That was 4 years ago. And then we're like, well, once a week is not enough. once a month is not enough, let's do it once a week. And then now we are doing them daily. Unfortunately, there is so much happening right now. It's either a flood, or it's a hurricane, or it's a mudslide, or it's something. There's always some kind of process that are happening that is taking away human life. And we just like to blame and say, hey, no one told me. Well, we are here telling you that it's all coming. We all need to be ready. We all need to know what to do when we are stuck in any type of situation, because you're going to be stuck with your coworkers, you're going to be stuck with your family, you're going to be stuck with your neighbors, you're going to be stuck in school. Like, you're always going to be in the wrong place when a disaster strikes. So you need to know, how do I go and save not just my life, but how do I help others as well? Because it becomes, when disaster strikes, it's the most unifying and sad thing anyone could experience.
Yeah, I can definitely, as somebody, because we went through Ian, more recently Helene, but there was Ian, Irma, and it basically, we had a beautiful beach, Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach, and it destroyed it. Like, just, it was like a bomb went off. And we're still rebuilding, and it's been years. I mean, it's still not, basically just the bridges, everything. And you're right. They have to pull together. They have to get people with their own boats to go and rescue people who are stranded.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely getting the word
Yeah.
out. And
And we are so lucky because we have resources in United States to rebuild a house. We have a insurance, well, not so much of insurance now in Florida, but we have some kind of insurance we can rely on. Most countries around the globe do not have that ability to rebuild. And most, like, we just had a huge earthquake in Philippines, and unfortunately there was like a lot of people that are dead, and they're still searching for people because there's collapsed buildings. And unfortunately, because of the state of their nation, they are not going to be able to rebuild. So you can be living your life today and having all kind of like necessities around you, and tomorrow you might be under rubble, just breathing and hoping that someone will find you.
that's horrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because it's like you're saying, it's, but it's increasing, whether it's wildfires or whatever. And, when you don't have the means to like rebuild, it's devastating. I mean, what do? And you're
Yeah.
also blocked off from, like, water and food. So,
Yes. And of course, your phone is not working if it's next to you, it's, you can't call for help. So we become that desperate situation, and we don't need to be there. We can warn people. We can have an early detection systems in place. We can do all kinds of things, just knowing that it is increasing exponentially, and that it's going to be us next. We just don't know if it's today or tomorrow. And also, what we found out is that we need to be more conscious of when we build something. And if it's in a flood zone, we need to know that, hey, I'm building something. We haven't had a flood in 100 years, but it is still possible. Okay, we still build it here, but what do we need? Do we need life jackets? As simple as that. Do we need enough life jackets for the kids? So when what happened in Texas happens, a flood like that, that we can find our kids, that we are not going deep under the mud searching for a child, knowing that that child is not alive anymore. So we just, as society, we need to take it seriously, and we need to really consider, how do we function, and are we ready? And the answer is no, and no one is going to warn us, and no one is coming to help us, because we don't value human life for what it's worth. And we need to switch it up and really start valuing human life as a top priority, and just functioning differently, and understanding to that we have one common home with our planet. And if we can still speak, great. Most people cannot speak up anymore, and they cannot bring back their relative, friends, or anything like that.
if people who are listening want more information and want to get involved, what would be the best way for them to, I guess, reach out?
Yeah, it would be if you go on our website, creativesociety.com, and you can reach out to us. But also, if you scroll down all the way down to the footer, you can see our social media accounts. You can go ahead and subscribe to YouTube. We always keeping you in the loop of what's happening, so you are not saying like no one told me. We are telling what's happening. It's just not this popular of the topic because we are so hyped up on, the latest craze, that we don't realize the real threat that's hanging above us. So definitely creativesociety.com is your best source for any information. You can always reach out to us. You can email us volunteers at usa@creativesociety.com, and we are here to answer any questions. We are here to present on any platform that you have available. We are here to spread this message so we all get a chance to live tomorrow.
Thank you very much for being here to share that. I'm not even, it's like life-saving for everybody's, message. Well, thank you so much for being here, and hopefully maybe we can have you back too and get the word out and just to help increase visibility to this cause.
I appreciate it, and this opportunity means so much to us, and we will spread it around on social media as much as we can so people can recognize and do their own research. This is all about taking personal responsibility. No one is going to do it for you, so I just encourage everybody to stay tuned and really learn what's happening to our planet and protect your families.
Thank you very much for joining us, Olga.
Thank you.